He ordered a plain mail-order bride. Then she stepped off the stage and changed his life forever. Declan Ward stood on the wooden platform at Birch Creek Station with the Montana wind cutting through his coat like a blade. He watched the empty road where the stage should appear, and his stomach felt heavy. He told himself this was practical. He told himself he was doing the right thing. But deep down, he feared he was making the biggest mistake of his life. He was 34, broad-shouldered and worn down in a way that had nothing to do with age. His hands were rough from ranch work. His face was lined from sun and cold. His gray eyes held the quiet look of a man who had spent too many nights alone. 5 years had passed since his mother died. 3 years since he buried his younger brother after a fever took him. Since then, Declan had run the Ward Ranch by himself. 300 acres of grazing land, cattle, horses, a small cabin, and silence so thick it felt like it could crush him. He tried hiring ranch hands, but they came and went. He tried asking around town, but the few women near Birch Creek were married or not interested in a man like him. Too quiet, they said. Too set in his ways. Too haunted by the war he never spoke about. So 3 months ago, after another long night eating cold food by the stove, Declan sent an advertisement to the paper in Helena. He kept it short and honest. A rancher in the Montana Territory looking for a practical woman who could handle hard work and isolation. No sweet promises. No romantic talk. Just truth. 3 letters came back. One was full of soft words and fragile needs. He burned it. Another was cold and businesslike, offering nothing but obligation. The third was from Amelia Cross of Boston, Massachusetts, and it stopped him cold. Her letter was clear. She said she was 26. She said she grew up on a horse farm. She said she wanted a fresh start where her past would not follow her. She did not ask for romance. She asked for honest work and a place to breathe. Declan wrote back. He sent travel money. And for 8 weeks he tried not to imagine the face of the woman who would arrive. Now the stage was late, and part of him hoped it would never come. Then he heard it. The distant rumble of wheels. The jingle of harness. The stage rounded the bend, dust rising behind it like smoke, even in the cold air. The driver pulled up and 2 men climbed down. A few passengers stepped out first, familiar faces from town. Then she appeared. The woman who stepped off that stage did not look like a practical ranch wife. She looked like someone who belonged in a fine parlor, not on a frontier platform with mud and wind. She was tall, with auburn hair tucked under a bonnet. Her face was elegant. Her eyes were a striking green, calm and sharp at the same time. Even tired from travel, she carried herself like she would not be pushed by anyone. Declan's heart sank like a stone. This could not be his bride. A mistake had to have been made. Women like this did not come to Montana to marry a broken man with dirt under his nails. But she walked straight to him, carpet bag in hand, chin lifted against the prairie wind. "You must be Declan," she said. Declan forgot to breathe for a moment. He pulled off his hat like a man who had just remembered manners. "Yes, ma'am. I'm Declan Ward. Amelia Cross." Her voice was clean and firm, with the sound of Boston still in it. "I sent a telegram from Helena. I assume you received it." "I did," Declan said, though his mind was spinning. "Miss Cross, I think there might be some confusion. I wasn't expecting." "You weren't expecting me," she said, not offended, only steady. "You expected someone plainer, older, maybe someone who looks more like the frontier already." Declan swallowed. "I didn't mean any insult." "I understand," she said, "but I am who I said I was. I can work. I will work. And I did not come all this way to turn back now." There was something in her words that made Declan look at her differently. Not pride, not vanity, determination, like she was running from something worse than the Montana winter. Declan nodded toward his wagon. "If the arrangement still stands for you, it stands for me." "It does," Amelia said, "and I would prefer we stop freezing on this platform." Declan loaded her trunk, ignoring the driver's knowing grin. Amelia climbed into the wagon without waiting for help, like she trusted her own strength more than a stranger's hand. Declan took the reins, and the horses pulled them away from the station and toward the open land. For the first mile, they rode in silence. The The sky was turning pale, and the mountains sat in the distance like sleeping giants. Declan finally spoke, keeping his eyes on the road. The ranch is 30 miles from town. The cabin is small. The work is hard. Winter here isn't like Boston. I don't need fancy, Amelia said. I need honest work and a clean start. Declan glanced at her, then back to the road. Why leave Boston? Amelia's hands tightened around her bag. My father died. The farm was sold. I went to live with my aunt. She wanted me to marry a man I did not want. I refused. She told me to find my own way. Declan understood that kind of cold choice. Not the same pain, but the same lonely edge. So you chose this. I chose this, Amelia said. Your letter was honest. That mattered. They crested a rise, and the Ward Ranch came into view. A log cabin near a creek. A barn behind it. Corrals and sheds. Cattle scattered like dark dots across the land. Declan felt the old pride mixed with fear of judgment. It's not much, he said. Amelia's eyes moved over the property, and her face softened with real wonder. Mr. Ward, it's beautiful. Declan blinked at that, surprised. At the barn, the warm smell of hay and horses wrapped around them. Declan lit a lantern, and Amelia stepped inside like she belonged there. In the far stall, a chestnut mare stood heavy with foal, shifting her weight with restless discomfort. Juniper, Declan said. She's due any day. Amelia moved closer, gentle and confident. She ran her hands along the mare's belly, listening with her palms the way people who know animals can. Juniper did not flinch. She accepted Amelia like she recognized skill. She's close, Amelia said, her voice turning sharp with focus. Very close. You may have less than 2 days. Declan stared at her. How can you tell? Amelia met his eyes. I grew up on a horse farm, Mr. Ward. I've helped with more foals than I can count. Outside, the wind rose again, rattling the barn boards. Declan felt something shift inside him, like the ground under his feet was moving. What he didn't know yet was that this woman would save more than just a horse before the week was through. That night, long after the lamps were low and the cabin had gone quiet, a sudden piercing scream tore through the dark. Not a human scream. A horse in distress. Declan shot up, boots half on, heart hammering. He rushed into the main room and froze. Amelia's bedroom door stood open. She was already gone. Declan ran into the frozen yard, the night air biting his lungs, and burst into the barn. Lantern light flickered inside Juniper's stall, and Amelia was there in her nightgown under Declan's spare coat, sleeves rolled up, face set with urgent control. She's been straining, Amelia said, not looking up. Something's wrong. Juniper thrashed in the straw, eyes rolling with fear. Amelia turned her head just enough to meet Declan's stare. We need more light, she said. Right now. Declan hung lanterns fast, one after another, until the barn glowed bright and shaky with light. Juniper lay on her side, legs kicking, her breath coming hard. Her eyes were wide with fear, and every sound she made cut straight through him. Amelia moved with calm speed. She scrubbed her hands and arms with soap and water, so cold it made Declan's teeth ache just watching. Then she knelt beside Juniper, pressed a hand to the mare's belly, and listened with her fingertips like she could read trouble through skin. Hold her head, Amelia said. Talk to her. Keep her calm. Declan dropped to his knees, by Juniper's neck. He stroked her face and whispered steady words, the same soft talk he used on scared horses. Juniper's ear flicked toward him, like she knew his voice, like she was trying to trust him through the pain. Amelia took a breath and reached in to check. Her face tightened at once. One leg is back, she said, her voice low but firm. The foal is coming wrong. If we can't fix it, we can lose them both. Declan felt his stomach drop. Can you fix it? I have to, Amelia said. But I need you ready. When I tell you, you pull. Steady, not hard. Steady. For a long stretch, the only sounds were Juniper struggling and Amelia's careful commands. Amelia worked by feel alone, sweat on her brow even in the freezing barn. She stopped twice to flex her fingers, her arm trembling from effort, then went right back in. Declan watched her hands and saw something that stunned him. She was scared, but she did not quit. She fought for that mare and foal like they belonged to her. Now, Amelia said suddenly. She's about to strain. Ropes. Declan already had them. He looped the soft ropes where Amelia pointed, around the foal's legs. Juniper strained, and Declan pulled with Amelia, steady and firm, timing it to the mare's effort. Amelia's jaw was clenched. Her eyes stayed locked on what she was doing. Again. Juniper strained again. They pulled. The foal's head appeared, then shoulders, and then with a rush, the foal slid into the straw. For one terrible heartbeat, it did not move. Declan's breath stopped. Amelia was on it at once, clearing its nose, rubbing it hard with a clean cloth. She murmured low words, almost like prayer, almost like command. Then the foal gasped. A weak cough. A stronger one. Then a thin, sharp cry that filled the stall. Declan felt his eyes burn. Juniper lifted her head and nickered softly, reaching toward her baby. The little foal wobbled, legs too long, body too new. Amelia laughed through tears. She's alive, Amelia whispered. She's alive. They stayed with them until the mare settled, until the foal stood and found milk. Only then did Amelia sag back, like her strength had been holding her up and had finally been allowed to let go. Outside, the sky was turning pale with morning. In the cabin, Amelia tried to clean up, but her hand shook so badly she could barely hold the soap. Declan pumped water for her and watched her breathe through the cold, watched her refuse to crumble even as her body trembled. You should rest, he said. I will, she answered, after I know they're safe. Declan looked at her, really looked. Her hair had come loose. Her cheeks were flushed from heat and cold and fear. Her eyes were bright with exhaustion and pride. He had expected a pretty woman who would flinch at hard work. Instead, he had gotten a woman who had just saved his best mare and her foal. That morning, over strong coffee by the fire, Amelia met his gaze like she had something to prove. I meant it, she said. I can do this life. I am not leaving. I believe you, Declan said, and it surprised him how much he meant it. Days fell into a rhythm. Amelia took to the ranch like she had always belonged there. She worked without complaining. She learned the cattle numbers, the feed, the tack, the chores. She gave Juniper and the foal extra care, checking them often. She named the foal Hope. Declan did not argue. Somehow the name felt right. A week later, Reverend Mitchell came out to the ranch. He performed the marriage in the main room with the fire crackling and the wind pressing against the cabin walls. Declan spoke his vows with a steady voice. Amelia spoke hers softly, but with a strength that made Declan's throat tighten. After the Reverend left, the cabin felt different. Not larger, but warmer. Not quieter, but less lonely. Still, they kept distance at night. Not because they hated each other, but because both of them were careful. Both of them were wounded in ways they did not say out loud. Winter came hard. One afternoon in January, the sky turned gray like a bruise, and the wind rose fast. Snow hit the land in hard sheets, turning the world white and blind. Declan rushed to bring the animals in close. Most were safe, but Hope bolted from the far corral, fear and youth pushing her into the open pasture. Declan ran after her without thinking. The wind swallowed him. Snow drove into his face. His eyes watered. His lungs burned. He caught Hope, got a rope on her, and turned back. He could not see the ranch. The world was nothing but white. Declan kept walking, trying to trust his memory, but the cold sank into his fingers, then his toes, then his bones. His thoughts slowed. He felt the terrifying pull of sleep. He heard a voice, faint at first, then closer. Declan. He tried to answer, but his mouth felt stiff. A shape broke through the storm. Amelia, tied to a rope around her waist. She had anchored the other end to the porch and followed it out like a lifeline. She grabbed his arm like she would not let go. Follow the rope, she said. Now, Declan stumbled beside her, leading Hope, half carried by Amelia's strength and fury. The rope guided them back through the white chaos. When the cabin finally appeared, Declan nearly cried with relief. Inside, Amelia stripped his wet coat and boots with shaking hands and pushed him toward the bedroom. "You're freezing," she said. "Get in the bed." "I'm fine," he tried to say. "You are not fine." She shoved quilts over him, then climbed in beside him, fully dressed, pressing against him. "Body heat," she said. "Be still." Declan shook so hard he could not speak. Amelia held him through it, rubbing his arms, whispering steady words until the shaking eased and warmth returned in painful stings. When he could finally breathe again, he turned and saw tears on her face. "You scared me," Amelia said. "I thought I'd lose you." Declan's voice broke. "I'm sorry. I didn't think. I just wanted to save Hope." "You matter more," she said, and her words hit him like a shot. Declan lifted a trembling hand and touched her cheek. He kissed her. For a heartbeat, she went still. Then she kissed him back, fierce and honest, like she was done being careful. Later, when the storm still screamed outside and the fire cracked in the next room, Amelia lay against him and stared into his face. "Do you want me here?" she asked. "Not as help. Not as a deal. Do you want me?" Declan swallowed hard. "I want you. I've wanted you. I was just scared." Amelia's eyes filled again. So was I. He held her tighter, and in that small bedroom in the middle of a Montana storm, they stopped pretending this was only practical. They chose each other for real. Weeks passed. The ranch survived winter. Hope grew stronger. Amelia's laughter came easier. Declan started to sleep like a man who was not always listening for ghosts. One night, when the wind was calmer and the stars were sharp outside, Amelia sat at the table with a cup of tea she did not drink. Declan watched her hands. They were steady, but her face was tense. "What is it?" he asked. Amelia took a breath. "I'm late." Declan frowned. "Late? My monthlies," she said softly. 2 weeks late." Declan went still. Amelia placed a hand on her belly like she was guarding something precious. "I think I might be with child." Declan's heart jumped, bright and joyful. Then fear followed, cold and fast. He reached for her hand. "Are you sure?" "I'm not sure," she said. "But I feel different in the mornings, and I know my body." Declan kissed her fingers and tried to keep his voice calm. "We will be careful. We will prepare. We will get Doc Henderson here when the time comes." Amelia nodded, eyes shining. "I want this, Declan. I want our child." Declan pulled her close, holding her like he could shield her from every danger on earth. Then a sudden sound broke the quiet. A wagon outside. Hooves. Wheels. A man's voice. Declan and Amelia froze. Declan moved to the window and looked out. A well-dressed older woman climbed down from a wagon with the help of a driver. Her posture was stiff. Her face was pale. Her eyes were sharp and worried. Amelia stepped beside Declan, and the moment she saw the woman, all the color drained from her face. Her lips parted. "Aunt Margaret," Amelia whispered. The woman on the porch looked like she belonged in a Boston parlor, not on a Montana ranch road. Her dress was travel-worn but still fine. Her chin was lifted like she was trying to hold herself together, and her eyes locked on Amelia with a fear that looked too real to be pride. "Amelia," the woman said, voice tight. Thank God. Amelia didn't move. Her hand went to her belly without thinking, protective and shaken at the same time. "Aunt Margaret," Amelia whispered again, like the name hurt her mouth. Declan stepped forward, putting himself slightly between them without meaning to. Not threatening, just steady. "Ma'am," he said, "I'm Declan Ward, Amelia's husband. You should come inside. It's cold out here." Margaret's eyes flicked over him, quick and sharp, like she was judging the kind of man he was. Then something in her face softened. "Thank you," she said quietly. "I would appreciate that." Inside the cabin, the fire snapped and hissed. Amelia poured water with hands that tried to stay calm, but would not fully stop trembling. Margaret sat straight backed at the table, like she was afraid to take up space. "I didn't come to cause trouble," Margaret said at last. "I came because I was wrong." Amelia's eyes narrowed. "Wrong about what?" "About you," Margaret said. "About what you needed. About what you deserved. I thought I was protecting you. I thought I was saving you from hardship, but I was trying to trap you in a life you didn't want. Amelia swallowed. You told me to leave. Margaret's face tightened with regret, and I hated myself for it the moment the words left my mouth. I was angry. I was frightened. I was proud. None of those are good reasons to break someone you love. Declan watched Amelia's face. He saw anger there, yes, but also something softer behind it, a longing that had been buried under hurt. Margaret took a shaky breath. After you disappeared, I tried to find you. You did not want to be found, and I understand why. But then your letter arrived. Declan turned to Amelia. You wrote to her? Amelia nodded, embarrassed. 2 months ago. I wrote one letter. I just wanted her to know I was alive, that I was safe. Margaret's eyes filled. I didn't believe it at first. I thought you were pretending to be fine. I thought some rough man had taken advantage of you. I came to see with my own eyes. Amelia's voice turned cold. So you came to rescue me? Margaret lifted her gaze. Yes, if you needed it. But I also came to apologize, to beg you to forgive me before it was too late. Silence sat heavy in the room. Declan felt it like a weight. Years of pain wrapped in polite words. He wanted to fix it, but he knew better than to try to speak for Amelia. Finally, Amelia said, very quietly, I am not trapped here. I can see that, Margaret said. I can see it in your eyes. I haven't seen you look like this in years. Declan glanced at Amelia again. The fear was still there, but there was also pride. And Mr. Ward, Margaret continued, turning to Declan, I expected to dislike you. Declan gave a slow nod. That's fair. I expected a man who wanted a servant, Margaret said. A man who would see Amelia's strength as something to control. But I have watched you since I arrived. The way you look at her. The way you speak to her. You treat her like a partner. She is my partner, Declan said. In work and in life. Margaret's lips pressed together, and for the first time, she looked relieved. That afternoon, Margaret walked the ranch with Amelia. She touched the barn wall like she was surprised it was real. She looked at Hope with a small smile and listened while Amelia talked about foaling and feed and winter planning, like the ranch had always been hers. In the garden plot, still bare under cold soil, Margaret paused and said, Your mother would have loved this life for you. Amelia's voice cracked. You never said that before. I didn't know how, Margaret admitted. I only knew how to demand obedience. I'm sorry. Amelia turned away, wiping her face fast. I'm not a child, Aunt Margaret. I know, Margaret whispered. That's what I finally learned. Margaret stayed in Birch Creek after that. Not in the cabin, but in town. Close enough to help. Far enough not to crowd. The townsfolk talked, of course, but in a different way now. Not about whether Amelia would run back east. They talked about how she had saved Juniper. How she had saved Declan in the blizzard. How she worked like a woman born to the land. Summer came. Amelia's belly grew round. Declan grew careful, then over-careful, and Amelia scolded him daily. I'm pregnant, she snapped one hot afternoon. Not made of glass. Declan took the bucket from her anyway. You're carrying my child. That makes you precious. Amelia rolled her eyes, but her smile gave her away. Doc Henderson arrived in late August to stay through the birth. Declan tried to act calm, but the fear sat in his chest like a live thing. He had seen death. He knew what could happen. Amelia knew, too. One night, with the fire low and the cabin quiet, she pressed her hand to his cheek and said, Promise me you won't shut down if you get scared. Declan's throat tightened. Promise me you'll stay. Amelia met his eyes. I'm staying. I fought too hard for this life to leave it now. Labor started before dawn on September 7th. Amelia woke him with a calm voice that didn't match her eyes. It's time, she said. Declan ran for Doc Henderson like his life depended on it. Because it did. Hours passed. Declan paced the main room until Margaret grabbed his arm and forced him into a chair. Sit, she ordered. You will not wear a hole in my niece's floor. Declan tried, but the sounds from the bedroom pulled him back to his feet again and again. Amelia's pain came in waves. Some sharp, some low and grinding. Each sound made his stomach twist. Then the doctor's voice rose, urgent. The bedroom door opened. Doc Henderson stepped out with sweat on his brow. "It's a difficult presentation," he said. "The baby is stuck. I can try to turn and pull, but there are risks. We could lose them." Declan went pale. Doc Henderson held his gaze. "I need you to understand what I'm saying." Declan's voice broke. "Save Amelia." The doctor's face softened. "I will do everything I can." The door shut again. Declan stood in the middle of the room, like a man waiting for a gunshot. He prayed without knowing who he was praying to. Then, after what felt like a lifetime, a thin cry sliced through the cabin. A baby. Alive. Declan's knees nearly gave out, but he didn't breathe easy until the bedroom door opened again and Margaret appeared, exhausted and smiling through tears. "Declan," she said, "come meet your daughter." He rushed in. Amelia lay propped up on pillows, pale and spent but alive. Her eyes were wet, shining with triumph. In her arms was a tiny bundle, a scrunched face, dark hair, a small fist waving like it was already fighting the world. "We made it," Amelia whispered. "All of us." Declan crossed to the bed and touched the baby's cheek with one trembling finger. "She's perfect," he said, voice cracked. "Amelia, she's perfect." Amelia smiled, weak but real. "I wanted to name her Sarah, after your mother." Declan swallowed hard. "Sarah." The baby opened her eyes for a brief moment, blue and bright, and Declan felt his whole life change in that blink. Outside, the wind still moved over the prairie, the same land that had once felt like a lonely prison. Inside, in the small cabin, Declan held Amelia's hand and looked at their daughter. He had sent for a practical bride. Instead, he had been given a woman who saved his horses, saved his life, and filled his home with love. And now, with Sarah breathing softly in Amelia's arms, Declan realized the truth he never expected. He was no longer a broken man, waiting for winter to end. He was a husband. He was a father. And for the first time in years, he wasn't just surviving. He was living. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like and subscribe to From Wild West 2, where every tale rides through the dust, the danger, and the kind of love that never dies. See you in the next story, partner.